My name is Margaret, and I'm 63 years old. I've lived in Portland, Oregon my entire life, watching this city transform from a quiet riverside town into the bustling metropolitan area it is today. I raised my son Daniel here, in the same Victorian house my husband Robert and I purchased 40 years ago. Robert passed away 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack, leaving me with memories, this house, and a substantial savings account we'd built together through decades of careful planning and hard work. Daniel is my only child, and I won't pretend I wasn't overprotective of him growing up. After Robert died, Daniel became even more precious to me. He's a software engineer, brilliant with computers, but somewhat naive when it comes to reading people's intentions. 3 years ago, he met Vanessa at a tech conference in Seattle. She was charming, beautiful, and told everyone she was a marketing consultant. They married within 8 months, and I tried to be supportive despite my reservations. The first red flag appeared during their engagement. Vanessa insisted on an elaborate wedding at a vineyard in Napa Valley. The budget ballooned from $15,000 to $45,000. Daniel, ever the peacemaker, asked if I could contribute. I loved my son, so I wrote a check for $20,000, telling myself it was a one-time investment in his happiness. After the wedding, they moved into a modern apartment in downtown Portland, just 15 minutes from my house. Vanessa quit her job, claiming she wanted to focus on building her personal brand through social media. Daniel's salary was excellent, but suddenly it seemed like it was never enough. Every family dinner became a showcase of Vanessa's latest purchases: designer handbags, expensive shoes, luxury skincare products she'd discovered through Instagram influencers. "Margaret, you simply must try this face cream," Vanessa would say, showing me a tiny jar that cost $300. "It's life-changing. I ordered one for you too. Consider it an early birthday gift." I never asked for these gifts, but they kept coming. A cashmere sweater I'd never wear. A spa package I'd never use. Each time, Vanessa would mention how expensive it was, as if expecting praise for her generosity with Daniel's money. The real trouble started last autumn. October in Portland is beautiful. The leaves turn brilliant shades of gold and crimson, and there's a crispness in the air that makes you want to wrap yourself in a warm blanket with a cup of tea. I was doing exactly that one Saturday afternoon when Daniel called, his voice tight with stress. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something," he said. "Can I come over?" 20 minutes later, he sat at my kitchen table, the same oak table where I'd helped him with homework as a child. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his usually neat hair disheveled. "Vanessa and I are having some financial difficulties," he began, not meeting my eyes. "We've maxed out 3 credit cards, and we're behind on the apartment rent. I'm making good money, but somehow it's just disappearing. Vanessa says we need a bigger place, something more suitable for when we start a family. She found a house she loves, but we need a down payment." My heart sank. "How much are we talking about?" $80,000, he whispered. I nearly dropped my teacup. "Daniel, that's a substantial amount of money. Have you and Vanessa sat down and actually discussed a budget? Tracked where your money is going?" He shifted uncomfortably. "She handles most of the finances. She says I'm too busy with work to worry about it. But Mom, I'm scared. I can't keep up with this spending, and every time I try to talk to her about it, she gets upset. She says I'm being cheap, that I don't want her to be happy." I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Sweetheart, a marriage requires honesty and teamwork, especially regarding money. If Vanessa isn't willing to have an open conversation about finances, that's a serious problem." "I know," he said miserably. "But I love her, Mom. I don't want to lose her." That conversation haunted me for weeks. I wanted to help my son, but I also knew that simply handing over money would only enable Vanessa's spending habits. I decided to wait and watch, hoping Daniel would find the courage to set boundaries with his wife. Winter arrived in Portland with characteristic gray skies and persistent rain. The city took on a melancholic beauty, rain-slicked streets reflecting the glow of streetlights, the air heavy with moisture. I spent more time at home, tending to my garden and volunteering at the local community center, teaching watercolor painting to seniors. Daniel and Vanessa came for Christmas dinner. I'd spent 2 days preparing Robert's traditional recipes: roasted turkey with herb stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce from scratch, and my famous apple pie. The house smelled wonderful, pine from the Christmas tree mixing with cinnamon and roasting meat. Vanessa arrived wearing a coat I recognized from a luxury brand's holiday campaign. I'd seen it advertised for $4,000. She barely touched the food, claiming she was on a new diet recommended by her wellness coach. Instead, she spent most of dinner scrolling through her phone, showing me photos of houses she'd been looking at. "This one is perfect, Margaret," she said, turning her screen toward me. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a gourmet kitchen, and a backyard big enough for entertaining. It's only $950,000. With Daniel's income and a reasonable down payment, we could totally afford it. "That seems quite expensive," I said carefully, passing the mashed potatoes. "Have you considered something more modest to start with?" Vanessa's smile tightened. "We're not going to live small forever, Margaret. Daniel works hard. He deserves to live in a nice home. Besides, once I launch my lifestyle brand, I'll be contributing significantly to our income." This lifestyle brand was something Vanessa mentioned constantly, but never seemed to make any progress on. As far as I could tell, it consisted of posting filtered photos on Instagram and buying expensive products she claimed to be reviewing. After they left, I found myself lying awake, staring at the ceiling of the bedroom I'd shared with Robert for so many years. The rain pattered against the windows, and I could almost hear my husband's voice telling me to trust my instincts. Something was deeply wrong, and I needed to protect my son. In January, Daniel called again. This time, his voice was different, defeated, almost hopeless. "Mom, Vanessa's been using my credit cards without telling me. I just got a bill for $60,000. $60,000! She bought furniture for a house we don't even own yet. She hired an interior designer. She put down deposits for landscaping services. And when I confronted her, she said I was being unsupportive of her dreams." "Oh, Daniel," I breathed, my chest tightening with anxiety. "There's more," he continued. "She knows about the family account, the one you and Dad set up for emergencies and future generations. She's been asking me about it constantly, wanting to know if we could access it for the house. I told her it's not my money to spend freely, that you're the primary account holder, but she won't let it go." A chill ran down my spine. The family account was something Robert and I had built over decades, a combination of careful savings, smart investments, and an inheritance from my parents. It contained nearly $800,000, intended to provide security for me in my retirement and eventually pass to Daniel and any grandchildren. Robert and I had structured it so that Daniel was a joint holder, but needed my authorization for any withdrawals over $5,000. "Daniel, I need you to listen to me very carefully," I said. "Do not, under any circumstances, give Vanessa access to that account information. In fact, I'm going to call the bank tomorrow and add additional security measures. I would never give her access, Mom, but she's very persuasive and persistent." 2 weeks later, Vanessa called me directly. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was at the community center cleaning paintbrushes after my class. Her voice was sugar-sweet, the tone she used when she wanted something. "Margaret, hi. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. I wanted to talk to you about something exciting. Daniel and I found the perfect house. It's even better than the ones I showed you at Christmas, but we need to act fast, and we're just a bit short on the down payment. I know you want Daniel to be happy, and this house would make him so happy. It has a beautiful guest suite where you could stay whenever you visit." I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm and measured. "Vanessa, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not in a position to help with a house purchase right now. And frankly, I'm concerned about the financial situation you and Daniel have gotten into." There was a long pause. When she spoke again, the sweetness was gone from her voice, replaced by something cold and hard. "I see. You know, Margaret, some mothers-in-law actually support their children's marriages, but I guess you'd rather see Daniel stuck in a tiny apartment forever, too afraid to take any risks because his mommy controls all the money." The call ended abruptly. I stood there in the community center's art room, surrounded by the paintings my students had created, simple landscapes and still lifes, the work of people finding joy and creativity during their golden years, and I realized that Vanessa had just declared war. February brought a brief respite from the rain, with unexpected sunny days that made Portlanders emerge from their homes like flowers after winter. The streets filled with joggers and cyclists, everyone desperate to soak up vitamin D before the clouds returned. I tried to enjoy these bright days, but worry about Daniel consumed my thoughts. He stopped coming to our regular Sunday dinners. When I called, he made excuses. Work was busy, Vanessa wasn't feeling well, They had other plans. I could hear the strain in his voice, the exhaustion. My son was drowning, and his wife was holding his head underwater while smiling for her Instagram followers. Then, on a Tuesday morning in late February, I received a call from my bank. I was in my garden, pruning the rose bushes that Robert had planted years ago, enjoying the week's sunshine and the chirping of early spring birds. "Ms. Coleman, this is Jennifer from Pacific Northwest Bank. We had an unusual activity alert on your family account. Someone attempted to transfer $75,000 this morning. The transaction was flagged because it exceeded the authorization limits, but we wanted to verify with you directly." My heart stopped. I did not authorize any transfer. Who attempted this? The request came through the online portal using Daniel Coleman's login credentials. However, the IP address was different from his usual login location. "We've frozen the transaction pending your approval." My hands shook as I held the phone. "Please place an immediate hold on that account. No transfers should be processed without my physical presence at a branch and my written authorization. And I need copies of all the documentation related to this attempted transfer." After hanging up, I sat on my garden bench, the pruning shears forgotten in my lap. Vanessa had somehow gotten Daniel's banking information and tried to steal from the family account. Not borrow, steal. Because there was no way she'd planned to ask my permission or pay it back. I called Daniel immediately. He didn't answer. I called 5 more times, each call going to voicemail. Finally, at 8 o'clock that evening, he called back. He was crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was going to do that. I swear I didn't know. She told me she needed my laptop to work on her brand website, and she must have found my banking information saved in my browser. When I confronted her, she said she was going to ask you first, that she was just preparing the transfer to save time. But Mom, I don't believe her anymore. I can't keep doing this." "Where are you right now?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite my racing heart. "I'm in my car, parked outside the apartment. I can't go back in there right now. I just can't face her." "Come here," I said. "Come home." An hour later, Daniel sat in my kitchen, the same place he'd sought comfort as a child after every skinned knee and broken friendship. But this was different. This was his marriage falling apart, his trust shattered, his financial stability destroyed by the woman he'd promised to love and honor. Over tea and the remains of a casserole I'd made earlier that week, the full truth emerged. Vanessa had been secretly selling items from their apartment to fund her spending. Daniel's electronics, his late father's watch collection that I'd given him, even the wedding gifts they'd received. She'd opened credit cards in Daniel's name without his knowledge. She'd been lying about job interviews, about potential business ventures, about everything. "I feel so stupid," Daniel said, his head in his hands. "Everyone could see it except me. You tried to warn me, and I defended her. I chose her over my own mother's concerns. You loved her," I said gently. "You saw the person you hoped she could be, not the person she actually was. That's not stupidity, sweetheart. That's hope. But now you know the truth, and you have to decide what you're going to do with that knowledge." We talked until 3 in the morning. Daniel admitted he wanted a divorce, but was terrified of the confrontation, the legal process, the judgment from friends who thought they had a perfect marriage. I held my son, this grown man who would always be my little boy, and promised him that he wouldn't face this alone. The next morning, I did something I'd been putting off. I drove to the bank and completely restructured the family account. I removed Daniel's joint access temporarily, not because I didn't trust him, but because as long as he was married to Vanessa, she could potentially manipulate him into accessing it. The bank manager, a woman named Patricia who'd handled my accounts for 15 years, understood completely. "I see this more often than you'd think," Patricia said, her expression sympathetic. "Financial abuse is real, and you're doing the right thing protecting your assets. Once Daniel's situation is legally resolved, you can always restore his access." But Vanessa wasn't done yet. 3 days after I froze the family account, Vanessa showed up at my house. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of gray Portland day where the clouds hang so low you feel like you could reach up and touch them. I was in my living room, reading a mystery novel and enjoying the quiet, when the doorbell rang insistently, followed by aggressive knocking. Through the peephole, I saw Vanessa, her face contorted with rage. She wore designer workout clothes and carried a handbag that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. For a moment, I considered not opening the door, but I'd raised a son, run a household, supported my husband through the ups and downs of his career, and buried the love of my life. I wasn't about to be intimidated by a spoiled woman having a tantrum. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. "You froze the account," she hissed, her perfectly made-up face ugly with anger. "You had no right to do that. That money belongs to Daniel, and as his wife, I have a right to it too." "That money belongs to me," I said calmly. "The account is in my name. Daniel has access as a courtesy, and for emergencies, not so his wife can steal it to buy houses we can't afford." "Steal?" Vanessa's voice rose to a shriek. "I was going to use it for our future, for our family. But you're just a bitter old woman who can't stand to see her son happy with someone else. You've been sabotaging our marriage from the beginning." Across the street, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, pause her gardening to watch. Vanessa was making a scene, and part of me was embarrassed. But another part, the part that had been silent for too long, was finished being polite. "I'm going to say this once, Vanessa, so listen carefully," I said, my voice low and firm. "You have nearly destroyed my son financially and emotionally. You've lied, stolen, and manipulated. You tried to access money that doesn't belong to you without permission. That's called theft. If you come to my house again, if you contact me again, if you make any more attempts to access that account, I will call the police and pursue legal action. Do you understand?" Vanessa's face went pale, then red, then pale again. "Daniel will never choose you over me," she spat. "He loves me. If that's true, then you have nothing to worry about, do you?" I said, and closed the door. My hands were shaking as I locked the deadbolt, but I also felt something I hadn't felt in months. Powerful and in control. I'd drawn a line, and I wasn't going to let anyone cross it, no matter how much they threatened or manipulated. Daniel filed for divorce the following week. I went with him to his first meeting with the lawyer, a sharp woman named Rebecca, who specialized in financial abuse cases. The evidence was overwhelming. Credit card statements, bank records, forged signatures, the attempted unauthorized transfer from my account. Rebecca assured Daniel that he had grounds for a divorce that would protect him from Vanessa's debts. The next few months were difficult. Vanessa fought the divorce viciously, demanding alimony, half of Daniel's retirement account, and even tried to claim she deserved part of my family account because it represented expected marital assets. Each claim was rejected. Her lawyer eventually dropped her case when she couldn't pay his retainer. During this time, Daniel moved back into my house temporarily. It was strange having him there again, my grown son sleeping in his childhood bedroom. But it was also healing for both of us. We cooked dinner together, watched old movies, took long walks through the city as spring transformed Portland into a riot of cherry blossoms and tulips. Slowly, I watched my son come back to himself, the kind, thoughtful person who had somehow gotten lost in his toxic marriage. One evening in late May, we sat on the back porch, watching the sun set behind the trees. The air smelled like fresh grass and flowers, and birds sang their evening songs. "I'm sorry, Mom," Daniel said quietly, "for everything, for not listening to you, for letting it get so bad, for almost losing the family money Dad worked so hard for." "You don't need to apologize, sweetheart," I said, reaching over to squeeze his hand. "You were in love, and you trusted someone who didn't deserve that trust. That's not a character flaw. That's being human. What matters is that you recognized the truth when you finally saw it, and you had the courage to walk away. I've been thinking," he continued, "about money and relationships and what Dad would have wanted. That family account, it was supposed to provide security and opportunity, not be a source of stress and conflict. I don't want access to it anymore, Mom. It's yours. You earned it, you and Dad together. When the time is right, you can decide what to do with it." Tears filled my eyes. "Your father would be so proud of you right now, not because of any decision about money, but because you're choosing integrity and healing over bitterness and resentment." The divorce was finalized in August. Vanessa moved to Los Angeles, posting on Instagram about her fresh start and finding herself as if she'd been the victim in the situation. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she'd already found a new boyfriend, some tech entrepreneur who probably had no idea what he was getting into. Daniel found a modest apartment near the river, a cozy one-bedroom with a view of the water and the city lights. He started therapy to work through the trauma of his marriage and the financial abuse he'd experienced. He joined a hiking group and reconnected with old friends. I watched him slowly rebuild his life, stronger and wiser than before. As for me, I kept the family account exactly as it was, protected, secure, and reserved for true emergencies and future generations. But I also did something new. I used part of my own savings to expand the art program at the community center, creating scholarships for seniors who couldn't afford supplies. Robert would have approved. Money, he always said, was meant to be a tool for building good lives and helping others, not a weapon for control or status. A year after the divorce, Daniel met someone new. Her name was Sarah, and she was a teacher at a local elementary school. She drove a 10-year-old Honda, wore practical clothes, and the first time she came to Sunday dinner, she asked if she could help with dishes. She complimented my house not because it was impressive, but because she could see the love and care that had gone into maintaining it over the years. "Your home feels like a real family lives here," Sarah said, drying a plate with one of my dish towels. "That's rare these days." I watched my son look at her with genuine happiness in his eyes, and I knew he'd learned the lessons he needed to learn. Sometimes patience isn't about waiting for people to change. It's about giving them space to face consequences and grow. And sometimes the most loving thing a mother can do is protect not just her child, but the values and security that will sustain them through whatever challenges life brings. The family account remains frozen to everyone but me, and I've never regretted that decision. Because real family isn't about access to money or shared bank accounts. It's about trust, respect, and the willingness to make hard choices to protect the people you love, even when those choices are unpopular or misunderstood. My patience had limits, and the day I froze that account, I found them. But in doing so, I didn't just protect our family's financial future. I helped my son rediscover his strength, his worth, and his ability to choose a better path. And that, more than any amount of money, is the legacy Robert and I always wanted to leave behind.